All right, you can be seated. We're on the record. Records show the presence of counsel and the defendant. The jury is absent. Mr. Jetty or Ms. Hunley, I need to know what remains of the state's case in chief.
We're currently in the cross-examination of Detective Barba. And after Detective Barba, we have Border Patrol Agent Tercy, which should be quick. I mean, this is from the state's perspective, quick from our perspective. And then we have the finishing up of dispatch witness on Friday and Detective Aienza. And that's it.
Thank you. What does the defense anticipate of its case in terms of how much time you're going to need?
Your Honor, we're hoping to get through it fairly quickly. We have Sheriff Hathaway, we have Border Patrol Agent Lyugan, Border Patrol Agent Gorman, and Detective Raul Rodriguez that we anticipate calling, and then possibly the defendant, possibly not.
Give me an estimate of how much?
2 days?
2 days?
The way
I'm
things
just
are
asking.
going, I'd say yes.
Well, all right. I'm going to start imposing time limits in this case on direct and cross-examinations. When we've been discussing this case, leading up to the case, and during the trial, counsel advised me that this case would take 3 weeks. I have to rely on what you tell me. I don't know who the witnesses are going to be, what they're going to testify to, or what the duration of time is going to be. I was told it was going to be 3 weeks. Today is 3 weeks, right? Today is 3 weeks. We started on March 21st. Today's 3 weeks, and the state's still in this case. I've also been monitoring and asking counsel for how we're doing, how we're progressing on this case, so that I could decide whether and determine whether I needed to exercise any authority over the pace of the case. I was informed by the state that there was a possibility that they would rest last Friday. Here we are on Thursday. The state's not going to rest today, and if we continue, then the state will maybe rest at the close of business on Friday. I assume Detective Aienza is going to be a lengthy witness. So clearly, we are behind schedule. This case is going to go to the jury next week. It's going to go to the jury next Thursday, and I'm going to move this case so that that happens. And I'm going to start imposing time limits. This line of cross-examination of Detective Barba, tell me what it is, tell me why it's relevant and what you're trying to do.
Are you referring to Ramon, talking to Detective Barba about Ramon?
I am.
Ramon is somebody who came forward in this case. He made a false report to law enforcement. Law enforcement collected information from Ramon that was verifiably false. Law enforcement failed to exercise any kind of standard of care over this investigation. It shows law enforcement's bias, and it shows their ineffectiveness in actually being able to investigate the case. It's crucial to the defense to be able to put on this information.
So the line of questioning is basically, well, first of all, Ramon's not a witness, right? Correct. He's not going to testify. Ramon came forward, he gave information. Is the defense point of view an argument that he gave false information, correct? All right. They looked at Ramon. They decided for whatever reason not to use Ramon, maybe in part because he wasn't an honest witness or he's not available. But so basically what you're trying to prove is that, as I understand it, through this cross-examination, is you have a witness who gave false information, he's not being used, and you're just trying to determine that the state didn't adequately investigate his false information?
That's true. He's also a potential suspect. Judge, anybody who comes forward to put themselves at the scene of the crime should be looked at as a person of interest. We had a witness testify that because Mr. and Mrs. Kelly were at the scene of the crime, they were persons of interest. Anybody who puts himself there is a person of interest, if not a potential suspect, and we have a right to question the investigation and to challenge them and to get to the bottom of why they didn't pursue other people who are making false reports and maybe potential suspects.
Very well. You can do that, but this examination is way beyond the scope of the direct examination. This is evidence that is more properly presented in the defense case in chief. You can present that in the defense case in chief if you want. We're not going to go into it any further right now. It's beyond the scope of the direct examination, and it's more evidence that's to be presented in the defense case in chief. If you wanted to present that in the defense case in chief, you can do that. And if you do that, because of the way we discussed this yesterday and the ruling of the court, is that then we're going to play the entire video of the interview. And I don't know, did you determine how long that's going to take?
It's only 20 minutes, Your Honor.
20 minutes, that's good. But that'll come out in your case in chief, and that'll come out of the defense time.
I just have to object, Judge. I think that's going to cause this to take longer. If we have to recall Detective Barba to go through that, it'll take longer. I'm allowed in cross-examination to exceed the scope of direct. I'm not in any way limited by what the state asks this witness on direct. And if I have to call this witness in our case in chief, then I'm not able to lead the witness, so that's going to take
You'll
even
be able to
longer.
lead the witness. He's an adverse witness. I'll allow you to lead the witness. The rules provide that if you call a witness and he's associated with an adverse party, the court can allow that. That's the ruling of the court. Let's call the witness to the stand. We're not going to question the witness anymore on this particular point. You have 5 more minutes with this witness on cross-examination.
Judge, I have to object. This witness is very crucial to the defense. I've never been limited to the lead detective. This is the witness who's supposed to be the lead detective. I've never been limited to just 5 minutes of cross-examination. And this witness testified to all sorts of involvement in this case. This is one of the defense's main witnesses that we have to get to. Judge, limiting me to 5 minutes of cross-examination with this witness violates Mr. Kelly's constitutional
You now have
rights.
4 minutes. Call the witness.
Make a bill. Do we need to make a bill? I don't know what that means. Let's just work through this. Let's work the procedure when he would be able to testify to.
May he approach him?
Yes, please flip forward and have a seat.
Can I get the whiteboard, Valeria?
Please have a seat. I remind every witness who appears after they've appeared on a prior date, you're still under oath.
Okay.
All right?
We need the jury, Your Honor.
Bring in the, good point. Bring in the jury.
What's the special action?
Please rise. Please be seated. The records show the presence of all the jurors, counsel, and the defendant. Juror number 4, I had a conversation with your point of contact from your employment. She's very accommodating. The clerk is going to work out the details. I don't anticipate a problem. All right? All right. Witness is still under oath, and you can continue with your cross-examination.
Thank you. Good morning. Detective Barba, I'm going to just have you look at a very basic map, okay? And I want you to help me put some things on this map, okay? You were at the house. This is Mr. Kelly's house, let's say, all right? You are aware that the body of the victim was discovered to the east of the house, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So body's over here, and this distance from the body to the house, that's about 115 yards. Is that correct?
I didn't do the measurement, so I wouldn't know the measurement.
Is that approximately right?
Sure.
Okay. And this is north, this is south, so down here is the border wall, okay? And would you agree, I know you didn't do the measurement, but that distance as the crow flies, that's about 1.5 miles, is that correct?
Again,
More or
I-
less?
Sure.
I know you didn't do the measurements, but it's pretty far, right? Now, I want to ask you, let's say I'm a witness in this case. So let's say I come forward and I make a statement to you. Can you see this okay?
If you can go towards the front of your,
All right.
there we go. Yep.
All right. So let's say I'm a witness in this case and I come forward and I tell you that I was standing right behind the victim when he was shot and the house was on my left. That would put me to the west, right? That's where I would be if I told you I was facing south and the house was on my left. Would you agree that would put me out here?
Yes.
And what if I came forward and I told you when this happened, I was 10 yards away from the house? That would be inconsistent with the facts that you observed, right?
Well, direction and distance is subjective. I mean, I don't
Well,
think
if I say I'm facing south and the house is to my left, I'm
Let the witness
facing the border
Let the
wall.
witness finish his answer. You can answer.
direction and distance is subjective. For example, if I'm out in the wilderness and I don't have an idea of where it's north, or I'm just going to guess.
Okay, but let's say I'm pretty good with distance, and I tell you I'm facing south and the house is to my left, and I'm 10 yards away from the house, and I'm pretty good with distance. That's inconsistent with the facts that you observed, is that right?
If you're good with distance and you have knowledge of northwest, east, then that would be a correct statement.
Okay, and let's say I tell you that I'm looking at the border wall and that it's 2 football fields away. If I tell you that, that's inconsistent with the facts also, right?
Yes.
What if I tell you that the shots, as I'm standing here, are coming from my right? Shots are coming from over here. That's what I tell you. That's inconsistent with the facts of this case also, correct?
Yes.
What if I tell you that there's a horse over here? Oh, there we go. In between me and where the shots are coming from, and that horse got shot in this incident. That's also inconsistent with the facts, is that right?
Right.
And what if I also tell you that while I'm standing right behind this person, the victim who gets shot, he falls over backwards and lands on his back? That's also inconsistent with the facts of this case, correct?
And again, the facts are how the body was located, or
The body was located on face down, correct?
correct?
There's no evidence that you saw that anybody rolled this person over, is that right?
Again, I didn't go to the scene. I was not part of picking up the body, so any manipulation or the lack of manipulation, I wouldn't be able to testify to.
But you do know that the body was located face down, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And if a witness tells you this person fell over backward and landed on his back, and that's where he lay, that would be inconsistent with the facts, right?
Right.
Unless somebody rolled that body over after he fell down. Is that right?
Well, it also goes back to high-stress incidents. To my knowledge and the training I've received in high-stress incidents, you kind of tend to block specific details of the incidents.
Do you think high stress could account for facts like this being so far different from the facts you observed on the ground?
Definitely.
You think that's high stress could do that?
Yes,
You would agree that Mr. Kelly would be under a lot of stress during this incident, correct?
sure.
So if you're giving this person the benefit of the doubt, then you should give Mr. Kelly the same benefit of the doubt, correct?
I'm not giving anybody the benefit of the doubt. I'm just stating what my training and my experience has taught me.
You have training and experience regarding false reports also, correct?
That's correct.
And could that also be something that explains why the story is so different from the facts?
It's sure.
It's a possibility that this just could be a false report, right?
In the evidence that we gathered throughout the investigation, I don't believe so.
If somebody came forward and gave you this story, you would still say that that's a credible person who gives you this story.
That, including everything else that we gathered in the investigation.
When you interviewed Daniel Ramirez, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You went into Mexico to interview him, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you go into Mexico to interview him?
Because Daniel couldn't cross into the United States legally.
You could have called him on the phone, right?
He doesn't have access to a phone.
You could have arranged some sort of Zoom call, correct?
He doesn't have access to internet.
You could have spoken with Mexican officials to arrange something, correct?
Correct?
And you didn't do that, did you?
No.
You and Sheriff Hathaway crossed into Mexico to conduct a criminal investigation in Mexico, correct?
Well, it was a witness statement, witness interview.
Is taking a witness interview part of a criminal investigation?
Sometimes.
Was taking this witness interview part of a criminal investigation?
Yes.
So you conducted part of a criminal investigation in Mexico, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you very much. Redirect examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective, defense counsel asked you a number of questions about the Celebrite download of the victim's phone. Do you recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
She asked you about text messages, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell us, she asked you, were there other messages on the phone?
I just want to make sure that redirect is limited in the same way that my cross-examination was limited.
You can continue.
And I'd like to make a proffer when we're done with this witness.
You can continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you tell me, Detective, were there other text messages on the phone?
Which phone are we talking about, Ms. Hunter?
The victim's phone?
Yes, there were.
And can you tell us the nature of the other text messages you observed?
Yes, so there were two sets of messages threads, one on his personal phone message, the inbox where you get from his phone number. And then he also had threads through an application called WhatsApp. Those applications from the WhatsApp threads were screenshotted by the investigator who did the download, and they were placed on an individual file for me to review. And in those WhatsApp threads were a numerous amount of family pictures. He was involved as, I believe he was a coach for his siblings, or his kids, I'm sorry, soccer team in Mexico. So it was a group thread where they were exchanging practice dates, dates for the games, jerseys, etc.
Were they also discussing some kind of upcoming tournament?
Yes.
Now, the defense showed you a picture of the defendant and the download information, is that right?
Correct.
And that was Defense Exhibit III, correct?
Correct.
And were you able to take a look at that image to determine whether that had any location data?
Yes,
Did it have any location data?
it did not.
When you took a look at the rest of the items that were on that Cellbrite report, defense asked you to speculate about what this picture depicted. Do you remember that?
Correct.
And based on what else you observed on the cell phone, is there anything else on that cell phone that gives you an idea what this photograph is about?
Objection, relevance. We tried to introduce other photos from the cell phone, and the court didn't let us do it, so I don't
The
think
question was
state-
directed to this particular photo, which is in evidence. The objection's overruled.
Well, if I remember correctly, that the date on that picture is on the 21st of January 2023. A few days prior to that, there's a video, January 18th of 2023, where you can hear Mr. Witimea speaking with a group.
Wait.
Without
The
telling
question
us-
was about the photograph. We're not getting
Yes.
into anything else.
Without telling us what folks said, were you able to ascertain from the video what was happening?
Yes,
What was it?
Again, the question, I thought the question was, what can he ascertain about this from looking at this photo, right?
Judge, the question was, the defense asked this witness to speculate what this photograph was about, and this witness observed within a couple of days of this photograph other video that put this in context. And so that's why I'm asking the witness this question. And that was specific to the defense's question to this witness.
Does the
on
defense
cross.
have that, does the defense have that other
They,
video?
they do, Judge. It's all on the Cellbrite.
I haven't been able to see the video, Judge. There was some description of a video in Detective Barba's report. We weren't able to find that on the Cellbrite.
All right, let's move on to another topic.
Just to follow up with the defense's question, are there any other things when you look at this that you think might be a possibility with respect to what you observed, based on what the defense asked you?
yes. With the binoculars that he was wearing, I believe that he might have been hunting.
You were asked about your conversation with the medical examiner's office. Is that right?
Correct.
Do you even remember who you spoke to at the medical examiner's office?
I do not.
And if Dr. Tim testified it wasn't her, do you believe that she was accurate?
Yes,
Did you write the documentation that's in the medical examiner's report?
I did not.
Were you providing that information very early on in this case?
Yes,
Was that before you even attended the autopsy?
that's correct.
Did you have any opportunity to review that documentation prior to it going into the medical examiner's report?
I did not.
Have you ever had an opportunity to determine whether it was accurate?
No, when it was presented to me yesterday was the first time I saw it.
Are there some things in that documentation that are inaccurate?
Yes,
Do you recall what the items are that are inaccurate?
I would have to refresh my recollection of the document.
Do you know who declared the Mr. Butimea deceased?
I believe it was Deputy Lopez.
Okay, so that's your belief from what you learned that night, is that correct?
Correct.
I want to ask you about some questions the defense asked you with respect to Exhibit 130. That's the samples that you provided to RJ Lee Group. And I want to make sure I understood some of your testimony. The defense, when they were asking you those questions yesterday, asked you if all of the sample went into the same vial. At least that's how I understood the question. Is that how you collected the information, the data?
Each
Or the-
sample went into an individual vial.
And so you had how many separate vials?
5.
And so when you collected from each item, each one went into its own vial, is that right?
That's correct.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for this witness from members of the jury? We do. Couple of questions from the jurors for the witness. Question, why was a hotel in Nogales, Sonora, Mexico chosen to interview the witness at instead of at the U.S.-Mexico Port of Entry or the Mexican consulate building?
So I believe this part of that incident didn't get clarified. We weren't in a room in the hotel. We were in the public area of the restaurant of the hotel. And subsequent to that, we moved to a lounge that was empty at the time, however, still accessible to the public. The reason why we moved from the restaurant to the lounge was because the restaurant was busy. There were a lot of individuals consuming in the restaurant. We went over to the lobby, and we chose that place because it was a little bit more less noisy, less crowded, and it allowed us to do the interview more appropriately.
The question was directed towards why weren't alternative locations of either the Port of Entry or the Mexican consulate used?
The location was chosen by Sheriff Hathaway, and I was under his direction.
Another question from the same juror, why was only part of this meeting recorded?
So the recording was a decision made by Sheriff Hathaway. When I conducted the meeting with Daniel, I just took notes about our conversation. The reason why I decided to do that was because this was a highly publicized case. I didn't want to bring any unwanted attention towards us that could contaminate the interview, because recording somebody in public when you're sitting down is uncommon, so it's going to bring some eyes to us, and they're going to start wondering, what are you guys doing? And I didn't want those extra eyes contaminated.
All right. There may be follow-up questions by the lawyers to these questions. Questions from another juror. You stated you received a handgun, cell phone, and a magazine from Sergeant Lopez upon arrival at the Kelly residence with the service of the first search warrant. How were these items obtained? Was there a warrant for these items prior to arrival? And the juror says, I'm just trying to make sure I'm clear.
Yes, the items were documented on the warrant, and they were just transferred from hand to hand. Deputy Lopez had collected them, and then he gave them to me.
All right, so they were obtained pursuant to a search warrant.
That's my belief, so yes.
Another question, if you know, in earlier testimony, Sergeant Rodriguez confirmed a photo he had taken of a single footprint at the scene, and there have been other testimonies confirmed that there were no other signs of foot traffic around the body. Yet there has been testimony by witnesses there. In your opinion, how is that possible? So the question really is, a single footprint was found, but there's been testimony of a lot of other foot traffic in the same area. How is it possible that only one footprint was found, if I understand the question correctly?
So I was not part of the collection of the body or the inspection of the surroundings, so I wouldn't be able to testify whether there was or there wasn't, and that would be my answer.
All right, final question from another juror. Was the geofence warrant executed in June, or did Google go back chronologically to January 30th?
Yeah, so when I served the warrant to Google, I set a specific time on the warrant from January 29th to, I believe it was February 1st. So it went back to that time frame.
Very well. Hand the questions to the clerk. Follow-up questions to the questions from the jurors by the state.
Do you have any idea why the restaurant was chosen as opposed to other locations? I know you indicated that the sheriff picked it.
I don't know.
Was the area quiet enough where you were that you were able to conduct the interview?
Yes.
I think that's all I had, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Larkin.
Just to be clear, you did not understand that Sheriff Hathaway had involved any officials from the Mexican government before conducting this investigation in Mexico, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
And you didn't think it was odd at all that you were going into Mexico to conduct this investigation?
Well, to my understanding and what was explained to me, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. He has a lot of background with DEA, and they do that often.
They typically have authority to do that, correct?
I'm not a federal agent, so I'm not sure what they have authority or don't have authority.
All right. When you interviewed Daniel in Mexico, you did not record it, right? But then Sheriff Hathaway did record a portion of this after you had spoken with Daniel, correct?
Well, it was immediately, it was not like there was a break in between. It was kind of immediately.
So you spoke with Daniel for what, 40 minutes or so, right?
Correct.
And then Sheriff Hathaway recorded the next 6 minutes of that interview, correct?
Correct.
And you stated that you don't record, or you didn't record this interview because you were concerned about privacy, correct?
Correct.
But Sheriff Hathaway went ahead and recorded the interview, correct?
Correct.
So he didn't share your concerns, correct?
Correct.
Is it standard practice to do an interview and only record a small portion of that interview? That's not standard practice, right?
No.
Did Daniel, did he ever tell you that his last name was really Varela?
I don't recall.
Okay, you never noted in your report that his last name could possibly be Varela, right?
No.
And also present at that interview were 2 family members of Gabriel, correct?
That's correct.
And some guy by the name of Juan Carlos Rodriguez, correct?
Right.
You didn't look into him at all, did you?
Well, he was identified as the uncle and the facilitator of the interview.
That's what he told you, right?
And the daughters confirmed that he was a relative.
You didn't confirm that independently, right?
Correct.
I don't have anything else, Judge.
Thank you. Any other questions for this witness from any members of the jury? Seeing none, thank you, sir. You could step down, and the state can please call your next witness.
State calls Agent Tercey.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Thank you, sir. If you'd please come over here to the witness stand and have a seat.
Good morning, Agent.
Good morning.
Real briefly, can you introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Joshua Tercey. I've been with the United States Border Patrol for 11 years. I've been a supervisor for almost a year now, and I've been at the Nogales station for about 9 years.
I'm going to hone in directly on why you're relevant in this case. Were you asked to produce some BP video surveillance?
Yes, I was.
Were you the video operator on the day of January 30th of 2023?
Yes.
And just so we have a background, how much experience do you have operating the videos for BP?
So I've been operating the cameras for Border Patrol for Nogales Station on and off for about 4 years, 4 or 5 years-ish.
And in that operation timeframe, have you also trained other Border Patrol agents on operating that camera system?
Yes, I'm a certified trainer for several different operations or operating systems that we have for Border Patrol. So I train other agents, and I also train DoD personnel, so Department of Defense personnel, whether it's going to be National Guard, Air Guard, that come down to the border for their missions.
And you were asked to provide some review of some Border Patrol surveillance videos in this case, right?
Yes.
You have permission to approach the witness?
Yes.
Agent Tercey, I just provided you Government Exhibit 146 and 147, and those are item numbers 3AF, A as in Apple, F as in Frank, and 6AF. You see both of those in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Did you review those prior to testimony today?
I did.
And you watched those videos?
I did.
All right. And before I get into those videos, those cameras on January 30th, were they operational
They were fully operational.
within specs?
Yes.
I don't know what I just meant by that, but they were, Border Patrol, they were working fine.
Yes. Usually once a shift at the beginning of our shift, we always check to make sure GPS is right, times, dates, and everything like that before we start our duty that day.
So the time and dates are correct on the video.
Correct.
And in that video, we see some direction of the cameras, right?
Yes.
Do you recognize the location of where those cameras are facing?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember the property?
Yeah, they were facing the Vermilion Ranch.
And Vermilion Ranch is,
It's going to be, I guess, east side of Nogales. I mean, depending on which camera I was used, it's either going to be east or west of the camera system.
would you know, if you know, would it be the defendant's property?
Yes.
You're going to move to admit Government Exhibit 3AF and 6AF into evidence. Or Government Exhibit 146 and 147.
What is it?
They're the two DVDs.
Can you please hold them up for me?
Let me grab them for you.
Just red paper. That we don't Okay, I didn't see what you had. Red paper. Can I ask this witness a couple questions?
You may.
In reference to states 146 and 147, there are a couple, DVDs that are, each exhibit has one. Did you have a chance to preview it before coming in?
I did.
And did you initial this?
Did I initial the DVDs?
Yes.
No, I did not.
So you don't know what's on this individual DVD and this individual DVD?
Well, those are the ones that I saw, but I did not initial them.
How could you tell?
I guess I can't.
Okay, and then I will object until he has a chance to preview it plainly.
Sustain.
All right, our break agent, we'll have you review these two items, but let's talk about the area around Vermilion Ranch, you said?
Yes.
And Vermilion Ranch, just so we know, are there any pine trees in the area, in the greater area?
Yes, the north end of north of the ranch in like the Keno Springs Village area, there's a lot of tall pine trees or pine tree looking trees.
And on the video, we're not going to publish the video, but on the video, you reviewed from start to finish the relevant time periods?
Yes.
Do you remember the first time, the first date where something was picked up, something was imaged?
I believe it was around 2:40 p.m. on January 30th.
And just so we know these cameras, I'm not going to get into the operational use of these cameras because that's Border Patrol sensitive information, right?
Correct.
These cameras, though, they span, how big of a distance do these cameras span?
They can see the immediate area within, I'd say like a 10 to 20 foot radius of the camera, all the way up to 15 plus miles, depending on the clarity of the day.
So they're operational through a vast area of the southern border.
Correct.
And are they sensitive to motion? Are they sensitive? Are you allowed to indicate that to me?
I mean, due to border security, I can't disclose exactly the operating systems of the cameras and their actual capability, but they're fairly sensitive, yes.
And it becomes, and you're operating the camera, so are you able to, not get into some of the details, but are you able to direct where the cameras go if you get an indication that something's happening?
Yes, I actually manually control the cameras. They're not automated.
Were you given a contact, did someone inform you of an event that happened on January 30th around 2:42?
Yes, around 2:30 p.m., I received a phone call from BPA Jeremy Morcell that he received a phone call from George Allen Kelly about subjects on his property.
And what did you do in response to that phone call?
I immediately put the exact information that BPA Morcell told me. I put that on via radio. to the agents in the area, and then I notified my supervisor so he could call the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Department and get them involved.
And just so we know, I'm gonna have you review these, but you've reviewed 3AF and 4AF,
Yes.
or 6AF prior, right?
Yes.
And we'll get confirmation on this, but is there anyone on the video other than SO, Border Patrol, or the defendant and his dogs?
No.
That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge. The pine trees noted on Keno Springs Ranch, is that what you said?
I refer to it as Keno Springs Village, the immediate area north of his property. It's like a small neighborhood with pine trees around it.
And that's at least a mile away from his home?
I couldn't tell you exactly, but I'd say it's within a mile.
It's what?
Probably within a mile.
Okay. I mean, he has a large property, so it's not like they're next door neighbors or anything, is it? You look at this terrain all the time. It's a
Yes.
good distance away.
Yeah, it's a decent distance.
Okay. So there is no pine trees on his on George Allen Kelly's property, is there?
I'm not sure about every single tree on his property.
But you sure know about a pine tree on someone else's property.
Well, it's in a surrounding neighborhood where there's a lot of them.
Okay. So that's some other location.
Yes, just
Okay.
north of his ranch.
And then you mentioned that you got a call from Border Patrol, Marcel, and isn't it true that the information wasn't just that there was subjects on the property, but that it was even more intense than that, like there was weapons and backpacks and all the things that you should be concerned about, correct?
Yes, I was just paraphrasing the phone call.
Okay, but you left out the serious part.
Yes.
Okay. And now, you noted in your report that, speaking to Border Patrol Agent Marcel, that the defendant that stated that the gunshots may have been in the distance but is unsure. That didn't come from Marcel. Is there anyone else you might have talked to?
No, the only person I talked to on the phone was Marcel. And that was
And
the second
The
phone call.
only testimony that Marcel has to this court is he heard gunshots in his direction, and he saw his horse running by. How does that change happen on your report?
That's how
Was
I
he misrepresenting it to you, or did you sum up again or misrepresent that on your report? Which one?
I put on my report from what I remember the conversation was.
So then you're saying that Marcel was potentially could have been misrepresenting if he testified as something different.
That's not what I'm saying.
There were other people that you observed in your videos. There was a group of 3 men running, of which Border Patrol intercepted them on a roadway, and one of them appeared to be hiding and getting and avoiding that Border Patrol agent. Do you know which view I'm looking at that I'm discussing right now?
I don't, because it didn't pertain to that area near his ranch.
Well, it's all on your videos that you supplied the state, which supplied me. And so there's these other incidences of some people on top of a hill also hovering over, looking down, a small group maybe. Did you consider that in your assessment of what was going on?
Yes, what you're referring to is the people on top of a hill that are looking down. That's actually going to be, I'd say, approximately 4 miles to the east and south of the international boundary in Mexico.
And it's closer to the 6 o'clock hour, correct? Which allows them the time from 2:30 to 6 to get in that general direction, correct?
I don't recall the exact time of when
Okay.
they were recorded on top of the hill. I believe it was before the incident. It was before this shift when I came in.
It's 6 p.m.?
No, it was prior to that.
No, sir. And the different people that were around and the Border Patrol, anyone bother to get information that you're aware of to determine who these people were?
The ones on top of the hill?
and the ones that I mentioned that were being chased down by a Border Patrol agent.
The ones on top of the hill were in Mexico, so we can't really obtain information about them or who they are.
So if they're on top of the hill and they might have a walkie-talkie too, maybe they're lookouts?
Yes, it's possible.
Okay. Because being on the hill allows the elevation to talk to people that are on the lower grounds to get to their locations, correct?
Correct.
And it's very hard for you to record all the activity because these people that are commuting in these areas understand where the cameras might be, correct?
Yes.
They also seem to travel through these ravines, arroyos, to get to their locations, which hinders the ability for you to see, correct?
Yes, they usually take routes that are usually harder for us to detect them.
And the fact that there's foliage everywhere, in some places more dense than others, makes it hard in that area to locate people commuting in that direction, correct?
That is correct.
Now, we know that we have information to believe that, first from Mr. Kelly, if there were 5 individuals traveling across this property, of which Mrs. Kelly saw 2, okay? That's just earlier testimony. Then we also learned in this case, and I'm just setting you up for the question, of people that could have been at this location, okay? And then I have a camera question. There were possibly 2 or maybe 4 people at the location around where the body was found. Now, with that said, you can't find any of these people, and yet we hear testimony and admission of being there. How does your cameras help this case?
I mean, I don't know how they would help the case, but
I'll pass the witness.
Well, you asked the question. Is that your answer?
I thought he said he couldn't, how it would help.
I don't know how. Can you repeat the question?
How would it help?
All right, he answered the question. He doesn't know.
Okay.
Redirect. That's what I said.
Agent Jersey, referring to the message or the communication you had with Agent Marcel, do you recall what he told you?
Yes, he told me that George Allen Kelly told him via cell phone that he saw 5 subjects carrying large packs with rifles and they had shot at him.
And when Agent Marcel tells you that, I mean, Agent Marcel, Border Patrol is trained on conveying correct information, right?
That is correct.
Because lives are in play when there's an active shooter.
Yes, especially with a situation with a call like that, it's taken very seriously.
Okay, but you're not questioning whether or not there's veracity to that statement. You assume it's true because someone is claiming there's an active shooter.
Correct.
And going to the images, I just want to make sure we understand that the one image with people on a hill, that was in Mexico.
Yes.
Are there routinely people up on hills in Mexico as scouts and people who watch?
So that hill that she's referring to and that I'm referring to, I remember seeing a subject up there wearing a red shirt, and it was prior to my shift coming in when I reviewed the footage. And there's typically people up there 24/7.
And of the image about people being chased down, that's not anywhere near the location of the defendant's property?
I actually am not aware of exactly where another group of illegal aliens were caught.
And subject to recall for admission, I'm done with this witness, Your Honor. We'll have him come after the break.
Any questions for this witness from any members of the jury? Very well. Seeing none, you can step down, sir. I think the prosecutors might want to talk to you about what they might do further, and you can call your next witness.
The government's going to call Detective Aienza.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Thank you, sir. You know the drill. Have a seat, Your Honor. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ready, Detective?
Good morning.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Detective Ainza, can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Nice. Good morning. My name is Jorge Ainza. My last name is Ainza, and I'm one of the detectives assigned to the Criminal Investigations Division in Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office.
All right, I'm gonna cover some housekeeping things first, lay the foundation so we can get some admission of some evidence in this case, right?
That's fine.
And just so the jury knows, were you the lead investigator in this case?
Yes, I was.
And just so we have the time period, when were you called in to assist on this investigation?
I received a call from my sergeant, which is the supervisor for CID, named Sergeant Flores. I got the call at 6:29.
And we'll start off with government exhibits. Just 1 second. Detective, we're going to start with some photographs first, and then we'll cover some of the other physical items here before we get into our time period. So you were called to the scene and you took photographs on January 30th? Sorry, the search warrant I'm talking about. Let me scratch this. I'm doing a poor job. Let's go back in time and make sure we lay out the time period. You were called to the case and what time?
At 6:29 in the evening.
And where were you called to?
I was called to respond to the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office, CID.
All right, that's the building next door to the courthouse.
Yes, it's down the hill.
All right, at 6:29, did you stay at that facility?
Yes, I did.
And what time did you actually eventually go to the scene?
I arrived at the Kelly Ranch a little after midnight. I believe it was 00:39, which is 12:39 in the early mornings on the 31st.
On the 31st.
Yes.
When you're at CID, you're communicating with officers on scene?
Yes,
You're communicating with Border Patrol?
that's correct.
Communicating with dispatch?
That's correct.
And you also do interviews of Mr. Kelly and Mrs. Kelly
That is correct.
when they come to the scene, to the CID building.
That's correct.
And then you also prepared the first search warrant.
That is correct.
Search warrant 007, right?
SW 23-007, that's correct.
And then a little past midnight, you go out and execute that search warrant.
That's correct.
Miss Hunley's got 34. And you took photographs on that morning?
Yes, it was the early mornings on the 31st.
I'm going to show you, have you reviewed Government Exhibit 34?
Yes, I have.
And those are photographs of the evening of the search warrant 007?
That is.
Inside and outside?
That's correct.
Wait for Miss Hunley to...
I have them electronics. Are you talking about the electronic version? I don't have the paper exhibit.
We could talk about the electronic version. If Miss Hunley wants to drive for me. And you reviewed that Government Exhibit 34, the actual physical disc that has been submitted to the clerk?
That's correct.
We'll find that disc. I'm going to show you just for you. So I'm going to move to admit all these photographs. We admitted some of them partial, but we're going to admit all of them. So when Miss Hunley get him up?
I have them. And this is just for the...
Just for the witness. Just for the witness. Like I said, there's been subsets admitted. You've been sitting the entire trial, right?
Yes, I have.
All right. So we're going to show.
I got the screen up.
If Miss Hunley can go through that at a pretty brisk pace. Those look familiar to you?
Yes, they do.
Exhibit 34. As she's scrolling through those, I saw that those also include pictures from a different search warrant, right?
That's correct.
What search warrant was that?
That is SW 23-008.
So there's also photographs in there from, technically, there's two search warrants on the 31st. The early morning hours and then later in the day, right?
That's correct.
And Exhibit 34 contains photographs from both search warrants.
That's correct.
And there's also pictures of autopsy on there?
I haven't seen them yet.
Okay.
It's still scrolling. There are the autopsy photos.
Is she scrolling through? All those look familiar to you?
They all do, yes.
You're the photographer?
Yes, I am.
Those are fair and accurate representations of the photographs you took?
Yes, they are.
Was that? Yeah, just to make sure we comply. $41.68. Your Honor, the government's going to admit, there's going to be a condition here. The government's going to move to admit Government Exhibit 34, images 4168 to 4519. There are some.
Slow down.
I'm sorry.
4168 to what?
4519. After that is pictures of evidence, and we want to comply, so we're going to take out some of those photographs. So for this time being, 4168 through 4519.
Under our 404B issues that we have, which are...
Let's pick this up. I think I know what's going on. I want to be sure.
We found Exhibit 34, Enzo. So we're going to come at break. We'll come back to Exhibit 34. You also took photographs of the outside of the property, right? With the tree
That's correct.
and some, I believe, some weathered shell casings. Is that right?
That's correct.
I'm going to show Defense Counsel, Government Exhibit 46. You took photographs of the outside where the tree branch was, right, Detective?
That's correct.
All right. I'm going to show Government Exhibit 46, and I have Bates numbers 1614 to 1656. Detective, as she's, oh, I don't want to distract.
No objections, Your Honor.
46 of those Bates numbers.
Excuse me. Exhibit 46 is admitted.
Detective, I'm going to show you, we'll just put it on, this is just to remind you what 46 is. I'm just going to show you a couple photographs from this, okay?
That's fine.
First, I'm going to show you, permission to publish, Your Honor?
Granted.
That's a picture of what, Detective?
That is a picture of the horse that was located inside the paddock, which shows two ladders on the first fence line.
And just so the jury knows, what is a paddock?
It's a piece of property that's fenced in between two fence lines just to keep horses, cows, that is saturated to a certain area for a certain time.
Fenced in, right?
That's correct.
I'll also show you, and just so you know, that's Exhibit 46, image base number 1629. We have a reference here. I'm going to show you Exhibit 46, base number 1646. You recognize that photograph?
Yes, I do.
What's that a photograph of?
This photograph is depicting the rear of the residence. You can see the first fence line. Right behind the fence line is the smoker. And then you show the back of the residence.
And there's a canine in this picture?
Yeah, to the left bottom, there's a black canine.
I'm going to show you a picture, base number 1649, same exhibit. What's that a photograph of?
That's a photograph of one of the branches, trees located within the paddock.
You also took photographs of the victim at the autopsy, right?
That's correct.
I'm going to show Defense Counsel, Government Exhibit 72.
No objections, Your Honor.
Thank you. Exhibit
72.
72 is admitted.
You also did interviews of Miss Wanda and the defendant, right? Miss Wanda Kelly and the defendant, right?
That's correct.
It sounds like you're going to move into a new area right now, is that right? So it's a good time to take our mid-morning break. Is that all right? It's 9:45. We're going to take about a 20-minute break. I'll stay here with the lawyers. We'll come back about 10:05, depending on how long this takes for me to talk to them. We'll be in recess until about 10:05. Thank you. Excuse the jury. Thank you. Please be seated. The record show the absence of the jury. Ms. Larkin, you said you wanted to make an offer of proof concerning Detective Barba. You can do so. The court reporter and the clerk will remain in the courtroom to record your offer of proof.
Judge, can you hear me? Oh, okay. Cool. So in addition to obtaining testimony about the false report provided by Ramon, the cross-examination was going to continue to explore inconsistencies between Ramon and Daniel in terms of the inconsistencies that they've made with each other, as well as inconsistencies that their statements were with the physical evidence. The cross-examination was going to further explore the interview that took place with Daniel in Mexico, including exploring inconsistent statements between what he told investigators in that interview and what he testified to in trial in this case. That interview is going to continue to explore the fact that Daniel provided a false name to law enforcement in this case. And the cross-examination would also go into generally the shell casing testing that was ordered, the forensic testing that could have been ordered, the forensic testing that was not ordered, and further exploring the double standard between the way these so-called witnesses were evaluated versus the way that Mr. Kelly was evaluated, and the cross-examination would continue to explore the inadequacy in this investigation in terms of interviewing people who came forward, who placed themselves at the crime scene as possible suspects. That's it.
Wait a minute.
And we just want to make a further record, sorry Denise, you okay? make a further record that the fact that our cross-examination was significantly limited violates Mr. Kelly's right to confrontation of these witnesses and due process.
That's all right. When did the court, did you get a break?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, come sit. When did she step out?
Stepped out along with me.
All right. Here she is, right here. Denise, did you get enough of a break? When did you step out? Yeah. All right. Are you good? You sure? Somebody just stiffened up a little bit. Stiffened up. Did your legs stiffen up? Did you stiffen up? Did you take a walk? I could lend you this pad too. No. Yeah. Just bring in the jury.
You know, just for procedure, we're just going to have.
Please rise. Please be seated, and the record will show the presence of all the jurors. Mr. Jetty is here for the state, and defense counsel and the defendant are present. The witness can retake the stand.
We're going to recall Agent Tercy, Your Honor.
All right, very well. We're calling. Looks like we're ready. Ready?
Agent Tercey, I just showed you, again, Government Exhibit 146 and 147, which corresponds to items 3AF and 6AF. You see those? Do you have an opportunity to review those?
Yes,
An opportunity to verify that that's the images you reviewed earlier?
I did.
You're going to move to admit Government Exhibit 146 and 147 to evidence?
Noticed his initials, so no objection now.
146 and 147 are admitted.
And no more questions?
And thank you, sir. Thanks for your patience. You can step down. You're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
Oh, wait, hold on.
Cross?
Hold on.
they added something to it. Do I have a right to cross that?
Okay, sure. Cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge. I'm just grabbing a couple of photos. I need to get these marked, Harold. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Agent, I'd like to go ahead and show you 3 exhibits that are now marked as triple K, defense triple K, defense triple L, and defense triple M. Okay, would you take a look at these?
Yes.
And you could just look at them at the table there. Also, show the jurors yet. Just take a look at it.
Okay.
Okay. Are you able to identify these 3 photos?
The location?
Are you able to identify, is this something that would have came from your surveillance?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I don't have access to your surveillance equipment, do I?
No, you do not.
Okay, so this had to been provided on some of the videos that you may be within these 2 videos that has been already entered into evidence, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so these accurately depict you possibly during this time period looking around for anyone that might be located in this area based on this call, correct?
This is a separate area from the area of the call.
It's your cameras though, correct?
Correct.
It's provided to me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, what area is this called?
This is actually, these subjects are climbing up to a road called Bordone Loop, which is going to be, I'm going to call it northeast of Aloha Loop, where it meets Aurora.
Okay. Do these photos accurately depict that?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to enter all 3 exhibits into evidence. I've already showed the state.
Without objection, exhibits triple K, triple L, and triple M are admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Now, what are the dates on these 3 photos?
1/30/2023, 1/30/2023, and 1/30/2023. And they're all about within 2 minutes of each other.
What time?
6:09, 6:08:04 to 6:09 and 22 seconds p.m.
Okay. In the evening?
Yes,
And
p.m.
about, do you know how far this location is from Mr. Kelly's ranch?
I would approximately it's probably close to 7 miles
Okay.
to the
Ma'am.
west.
Are these appear to be young men?
I mean, I can't tell. I would assume that they are men, but I mean, I can't definitely tell from the images.
Okay. Do they appear to be carrying backpacks?
One of them looks like he has a small pack on his back, and the other two do not.
And were you able to check the other photos? Do they approach a road?
Yes.
Do they approach, ultimately, if you recall, Border Patrol intercepting at least 2 of them?
I don't recall that exactly. There's several operators that operate these camera systems, so it might have been a different operator at the time.
Well,
Of these.
why would different operators put these on our evidence if this is what you're capturing for our case?
I
You don't know?
don't know. No.
Okay. So you're speculating when you say that, and you're speculating the distance a little bit. You don't know for sure.
Yeah, I'm approximating the distance,
Okay.
but
All right. Now, these look like healthy people that are out there hiking this terrain, correct?
they don't appear to be injured. No.
They don't appear to be heavyweight people. They look like they're physically fit just from appearance from this.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Can I have the photos?
Mhm.
They're a little large, Judge, so can I just pass them amongst the jurors to look at them?
Any objection? Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the problem is, there were people out there. Should I wait, Judge?
No, you're on.
There were people out there, and now this could have been almost 3 hours later from the incident, and there are people out there on the move amongst others that could be out there, correct?
Yes, I mean we would typically encounter several groups of illegal aliens a shift.
Okay. So the fact that you can't show us anything on the ranch, only around the areas outside of the ranch, means the camera system offers no definite assistance in this case, correct?
I mean that's for you guys to decide if it offers assistance or not.
So we do know there were people there. We just don't have anything that supports or doesn't support this case as far as his ranch is concerned, correct?
As far as my video footage, yes.
And if there was interception, and I watched the video, and jurors can always try to play it, it's very lengthy and hard to deal with, but there were interception of Border Patrol to these people when they got to the road, you would think there would be an incident report made? Is that a procedure that Border Patrol would do based on your knowledge and training?
Yes, every apprehension is recorded through usually 2 different databases or systems that we use to record apprehensions, location, dates, times, and agents involved.
Nothing further.
Any redirect?
I'm just going to collect the evidence.
Thank you. Again, jurors, we publish that now because it's in the context of, we just heard the testimony. You'll have that exhibit. It's been admitted, along with all other exhibits that are admitted when you retire to deliberate. You may go.
Agent Tercey, you received a phone call from Border Patrol Agent Marcel on the January 30th?
Yes,
Approximately what time was that again?
2:30 p.m.
And after that phone call, did you manually move cameras over to the location where the incident
I did.
reported to you?
I did.
Any capturing of anyone other than Border Patrol, SO, or Mr. Kelly?
No, not in the immediate area.
And of those photos that were just shown to you, those photos are from a distance away, right?
Yeah, it's a good distance away.
And do you know, if you know, when we ask Border Patrol for all surveillance along this region, we ask for everything? Do you know if that's what our request was?
Yes, and typically when we pull the footage, we'll pull it before the incident, a good amount of time after it, and we'll pull all the cameras that could possibly see that area.
We ask for it all, and then we give it all.
Correct.
You know, all right. No more questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions for this witness from any members of the jury? Very well. Seeing none, can this witness now be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you again for your patience. I can take those. I'll give them to the clerk and you're excused. Thank you. I'll give the exhibits to the clerk, and I think we're recalling Detective
Yes,
Bainza. All right, very well. Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Your Honor, permission for some leeway for the witness to put some gloves on. We're going to go through some physical evidence.
Yes, sir.
Detective Ianza, can you step down and put some gloves on for me? We're going to need some scissors. Thank you. We're going to start off, Detective Ianza, with item number 16JA. I'll get the exhibit numbers once we start using them. 16JA back there. Exhibit 78, I'm sorry. Just go ahead and open that for me.
I'm sorry, what's the number?
78?
7?
78? 78. 78. And Detective, that we're not going to have. This is not a show and tell this time because we're just going to make sure we move to admit everything. Is that the backpack that you photographed, or someone photographed on the day of?
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, we should get the microphone. It's been admitted, right? I want you to, can you hold that backpack up real quick? I know there's items in it. We'll keep the items in. Is it zipped? Detective, on that backpack, is there any damage on that backpack other than the cut straps?
The only damage is those straps that were cut by Sergeant Rodriguez.
I want you to take your time, review it. Is there any bullet holes, bullet strikes anywhere on that backpack?
Actually, when I was photographing this backpack during my processing, I did not notice any other damages aside from the straps being cut.
And as you review it now, no damage,
No
right?
damage, other than the straps that were cut.
All right, you can put that back in the bag. I believe Exhibit 78 has already been admitted. And you can take it back over there to the table. We're looking for Exhibit 79.
Apologize for the interruption, but can I have, before you tie it up, can I have a refresher what's in that bag, please?
It's the backpack and belonging inside the backpack.
Can we just,
Sure.
does the court mind if I view it real quick?
No, I was just going to suggest that. Go ahead.
And this is all omitted, correct?
Yes.
And would it be okay if we just pull one out and then put it back in and then I'll
Just
know?
go, why don't you just go take a look at it? How about that?
Want to get some gloves for her? Can you go get some gloves for her in case she wants to? And just for the record, I've got April 4th as the date that Exhibit 78 was admitted. I guess I'm.
Are you just asking to verify that?
I'm just
That's
asking
okay.
to verify.
It is admitted?
It is admitted, let me check.
All right.
The backpack has been out already, Judge.
It's April.
April 4th, Your Honor. And just so we have a clean record, Exhibit 78 also contains the fanny pack. Can you bundle that and bring it back over? Detective, I want you to stand over there and just look at exhibit number 79. Open that exhibit just to yourself. I want to see if you recognize what's in that exhibit.
Open it?
Yes, please. And I think this has been admitted already. I want to verify on April 4th?
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, will move to have him publish again.
I don't remember what is it?
It's a wallet. I'm sorry. It's the
Wallet?
victim's wallet.
Granted.
Can you go, Detective, can you go to the jury, it's already been admitted, Detective, so, and walk and open the bill, and just, so you can take the cash out of there too, and just show the jury what's in Exhibit 79. And Detective, as you put that back, how many pesos are in there? What's the total currency value? That's what I should ask you. $1,640 pesos? 1,640 pesos?
That's correct.
All right, you can put that in the wallet and return it back to the item. We'll have you seal up later, so. The clerk should have Exhibit 80 for you. And this is when I want you to open it without, don't show it to the jury. I want you to open it and tell me what's inside that. I want you to open it. And what's inside there? It's a clear bag. What's inside there?
Black and color Kenwood radio.
Is that the radio found with the victim?
Yes.
Counsel is, if wants to go up, we're going to move to admit Government Exhibit 80 into evidence. Is that what appears to be the radio?
Yeah.
Move to admit Government Exhibit 80 into evidence.
No objection.
Exhibit 80 is admitted.
Move to publish, Your Honor.
Granted.
Detective, can you publish in front of the jury box for me? Thank you, Detective. You can put that back in the bag for me. Next, I'm going to show you Government Exhibit 81, which I show as admitted on 4-4.
Correct.
All right. Open that for me, and you can permission to publish to the jury.
What is it?
It's the phone. It's the cell phone of the victim.
Granted.
You can publish. I can help you out. It's envelope. All right, Detective, I'm showing you on the ground there, Exhibit 82. Can you put on the, bring it over to the table? And I'm gonna have you open it. I want you, we're gonna look inside. We're gonna identify some items, okay?
Are these omitted already?
Mr. Judge, I gave you the wrong box. I apologize.
Oh. Wait, hold on, we'll just keep this one. Which one is this one?
That one's 112.
We just do 112. That's fine. Do 112.
Is it omitted yet?
No. All right, Jeff, go ahead and open that for me. So I believe, just for the record, 112 is the actual box, which we're not moving. I guess we have to omit the box, but item 112.1 is the jacket. That jacket, the clerk's going to give you the jacket, has been admitted on April 2nd. Detective Einzel, I want you to look in box one. You can put that down. Put that down. I want you to look in the box 112 because this is the other items belonging to the victim. I want you. Do you recognize those items? And let Miss Kathy, let Kathy take a peek in there to verify what you're. Oh, you have to. There's envelopes, right? All right. Let's do one at a time, Detective. Pull one of those out. Move the box kind of to the block the jury a little bit. Which item are you pulling out?
43.5 JA.
43.5 JA. And we'll call that 112.2. And take a look inside there and show counsel. What does that appear to be? We're going to move to admit, I'm sorry, does that look familiar to you?
Yes, it is.
Move to admit Government Exhibit 112.2.
No objection.
112.2 is admitted.
You can keep it there since everyone's up there. Just move that to the side. Pull out the next one for me.
Will be 43.7J.
All right, do the same procedure with counsel. What does that appear to be, Detective?
These are some briefs, men's briefs.
I'm going to move to admit Government Exhibit, we'll call it 112.3. Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Sorry. Pull out the next one for me.
112.3 is admitted. That's right.
43.6J.
Detective, what does that appear to be?
Not a pair of black socks.
You're gonna
No
move to-
objection.
Move to admit Government Exhibit 112.4.
112.4 is admitted.
We'll publish at the end, Your Honor. We're just economizing. Next one.
Are these purported to be items that the victim was wearing
That's correct, Your Honor.
or were in the backpack?
Items he's wearing, Your Honor.
He was wearing.
He's wearing. Huh?
All right.
Items he's wearing.
43.4J.
What does that appear to be, Detective?
The black hoodie, sweatshirt. Actually, it's
Sweatpants.
sweatpants. My apologies, sweatpants.
So we're going to mark it Government Exhibit 112.5, and that's sweatpants, correct?
Black and color.
Move to admit, Your Honor.
No objection.
112.5 is admitted.
If you need to put some of those on the ground to give you more room on the table, Detective.
43.2J. I actually got the description on the back, so I'll just say it.
Sure, you can. I want you, don't worry about it. Just open it up the same procedure, and when you look inside, I want you to verify what's inside. What does that be? What does that item appear to be?
The brown color, tan color pants, a little on the brown color pants.
Your Honor, permission to admit 112.6.
No objection.
112.6 is admitted.
43.9J.
What does that item appear to be, Detective?
These are the tan color tactical boots.
The boots?
Yes.
Move to admit Government Exhibit 112.7.
No objection.
112.7 is admitted.
43.8 JA.
What does that appear to be, Detective?
Brown leather belt.
Your Honor, move to admit Government Exhibit 112.8.
No objection.
112.8 is admitted.
43.3 JA.
That's the last item in the box, right?
Yes, it is.
What does that item appear to be, Detective?
It's a Browning color multi-cam, well, it's a woolen camo shirt.
Camo shirt? Move to Government Exhibit 112.9.
Just for the record, there was, upon viewing, some flakes that came off of it. It was collected and put in a separate bag. So I'm agreeing to the jacket at this time.
Sure.
So there's no objection.
It's not a jacket, it's the shirt.
It's a
correct?
shirt.
It's the undergarment shirt.
The shirt, yes. So no objection to the shirt.
Thank you.
Right.
112.9 is admitted.
We're going to do some publishing real quick, Kathy, so if you want to settle back in. Yeah, settle back in.
In other words, take a seat.
All right, I wrote down some of the items, and I'm not going to show the socks or the briefs. I want to look at, once you clear that, we'll start with the one that's on the table when that does. So clear those off. No, the one that's open right now. Permission to publish as we go.
Granted.
All right, so Detective, that's 112.9, that's the last item we looked at. That's your item, 43.JA, right?
43.3 JA.
All right, I want you to take it out and keep it over the table there.
Plastic bag stuff, which included the backpack.
If you can display it for us. Display whatever's easier for you, the back or the front, but let me know which side you're displaying.
The front.
I want you to show the front to the jury. And is there a hole in that shirt?
Yes, sir.
Where is the hole in the front?
May I come closer, Judge?
Yes, you may.
Sorry. I don't want to take a seat.
I'm sorry, Kathy, I didn't mean to boot you to your table. I'm looking for an exit wound, Detective. Is there an exit wound hole in the shirt? Detective, as she's doing it, can you help clear that path for her? Thank you, Detective. Before you, want you to flip it and let counsel review the backside too? Before we publish the backside, we just do it since she's up here.
And while she's doing that, counsel, I have a question. Ordinarily, in cases such as this, there's identification of evidence to be presented at trial by each side and access to that evidence given by each side. Has that been done with respect to these
Yes, Your
items
Honor.
in this case? All right, so these have previously been inspected as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, just wanted to know. Thanks.
Hey, Detective, can you hold that up and show the backside to the jury? And is there an entry wound on the back?
Yes, sir.
Where is that located on the sweatshirt or the shirt?
On the right side back portion.
Give me a relationship to the armpit.
The armpit, that's the end.
Thank you, Detective. And thank you, Kathy, for helping out. No, I'm done. You can put that away. And you want to clean up real quick, Detective? Next, I want to find those, if you want to put that in the bag and just put that back in the box for me, Detective. The big box. Just put that in the big box. We keep it away. I'm looking for, I thought I wrote this down as 43.2 JA, the pants. Which is Government Exhibit 112.6. Can you make sure those are the outside pants? Can you take those out? As you found the victim, so we understand the dress layering. What time of year is the shooting happening?
It was late January, and it was wintertime.
Wintertime. Wintertime?
Wintertime, yeah.
And the shirt we saw was a shirt, and there was a jacket that was over that shirt, right?
That's correct.
All right. Now these are pants. Was there this one layer of pants on the legs or two layers of pants on the legs?
This is one layer.
I know, but how many layers were on the victim?
What's that?
How many layers were on the victim?
There was two.
Two. We have sweatpants, right?
Yes.
All right. I'm just going to show you the outside pants. Those are the outside pants?
These are the outside pants.
Hold them up for the jury, front and back. We've used terms of tactical pants, or would it be cargo pants?
These are cargo pants.
Okay. I'm done with that once Kathy's done with that. You can put that back in them. And you could put all the other items except for 43, I'm sorry, except for 112.1. That was the jacket. So you can put the other ones back in the box, Detective. Oh, I'm sorry. The boots. Can you get 43.9 out? Sorry about that. The boots. Thank you. Let's do that for the jury. Yes, please. And go ahead and publish to the jury. You can get closer a little bit so you can see. And also the soul too, detective. Thank you, detective. Counsel, you done? You can put those back in the bag, detective. And so we saw the undershirt, and I just want to put the two pieces together. Can you show 112.1, which is the jacket? And that was admitted on April 2nd. I really want to show the backside, detective, so let's show the jury the backside. Highlight the entry wound for me, or the entry hole. Does that appear to be the same location as the shirt, 112.9?
Yes.
Thank you, detective. I'm done if counsel is done. You put that back and then clean up that table for me. Done? You can bring it back over here. For the record, I'm now showing you Government Exhibit 82, which is labeled 17JA. Is that correct, Detective? Can you put the box up on the table and do the same thing? Move the box towards the side. Go ahead and open it. I'm sorry. I want you to pull out 17.1 JA, which is Government Exhibit 83, which was admitted on April 2nd.
Which one is it?
17.1 JA. came,
17.1J.
Government Exhibit 83. Those are the boots. Can you just open that, make sure it's the boots in there? Those are boots belonging to the defendant.
Yes.
So we just got done looking at victim clothes. We're going to look at just a few items of the defendant's clothes. It's been admitted, but boots? All right, we don't have to show them. I just want to make sure that's what there is. So you can put 83 back on the ground. Find 17.5 JA for me. Lift with your legs. Which is Government Exhibit 87 for the record. Oh, detective, to your right. Yeah. It's been admitted on 4-4. Just make sure what those are. Can you open that? You recognize those items in there, Detective?
Yes, I do.
Where are those items?
These are yellow and color leather work gloves.
Belonging to who?
Mr. Cap.
Can you take them out? Those are gloves he was wearing on January 30th?
Yes.
Those have been admitted. You can put that back in the bag for me. You're good. Show the jury real quick, so just show the jury. All right, put those back in the bag for me. We only have a couple more items. Go ahead. I want you to find 17.7 for me. 17.7 JA, which is Government Exhibit 89. She has the clerk, because they've already been messed with, so. Detective.
89? Oh.
Not admitted,
Huh?
not admitted.
Admitted. Admitted. On April 4th. Go ahead and pull them out. Yeah, they've been admitted. Those are the jeans of the defendant on the day of?
Yes.
Go ahead and hold them up for me, for the jury. Front and back. Thank you, Detective. And you still got, I should have done this, on 83, go back to 83, the boots. I want you to take those out and show the jury for me. This is the defendant's boots, right?
Yes.
I want you to publish the jury like you did with the victim's boots. That's Government Exhibit 83 being shown to the jury. Thank you, Detective. You can put those back in the bag, and there's only one more item in that box. Yeah. And you collected socks and briefs and stuff from the defendant, right? You collected things like socks and undergarments from the defendant too?
Yes.
All right, but I'm going to show you the shirt. This has not been admitted, so If you want to bring that box back up and do the same thing, I'm looking for your item number 17.8. What's inside that bag? Does that appear to be what the defendant was wearing on the night of?
Yes.
Move to admit. What do you want me to call this, ma'am?
It's Exhibit 90. It should have some.
Oh, I'm sorry, it is. Exhibit 90. Move to admit Exhibit 90. I'm sorry.
No objection.
Exhibit 90 is admitted.
Can you go ahead and take it out? You can take the. We'll move to publish, Your Honor. So can you walk the jury box front and back?
Granted.
Is this the outside, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
This is the outside garment of the defendant, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Detective. You could put that. I'm done with it. If you want to put all the items back in that box. And you can bring it back over there. I have one more for you, Counselor. I'm going to show you Government Exhibit 111. And it has not been admitted, so I want you to open it and let counsel look inside. Detective, did you recognize the items in that?
Yes.
Move to admit Government Exhibit 111.
No objection.
111 is admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
Granted.
Can you go ahead and take the items out? Ken, I'm done for right now. Thank you. So inside Government Exhibit 111 is what appears to be like a Ziploc bag. What's in that bag?
There's a white colored chain with a cross. There's a white in color chain with a cross, a blue cell phone charger, and Mexican currency and monedas or currency, what we call in the U.S. dimes, nickels, but these are Mexican currency.
Coins are the
Coins.
currency? Okay. And those are the victim's items found on his person?
Yes, these were on his person.
And you collected them?
These were collected actually by the personnel at the autopsy, then were handed to me.
Okay. And you watched that whole process?
Yes.
All right, you can put that back in the bag for me, Detective. You can hand it back. And you can take a seat, finally. I'm going to show you Government Exhibit 57 and 131 through 133. First, I'm going to show you Government Exhibit 57. Permission to approach?
Granted.
Detective, you recognize Government Exhibit 57?
Yes, I do.
Is your initials on Government Exhibit 57?
Yes, they are.
What is Government Exhibit 57?
It is a black in color USB or thumb drive.
Do you know what's contained on that thumb drive?
It's a synced interview with Mr. Kelly.
When you say synced, what are you referring to?
It's got subtitles at the bottom.
And what language?
English.
All right, but you guys, your interview was in English, right?
That's correct.
Move to admit Government Exhibit 57 into evidence.
What is it at?
I'm sorry.
May I take this witness?
Yes.
Some questioning in reference to this?
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned synced.
That's what it is, synced. That's the wording.
Who did that?
I don't have an answer for that. I was just told to review it and that it was synced.
Then therefore, Your Honor, I'll object to the state's Exhibit 57 as being altered, and he cannot authenticate it. Here you go.
You want to ask some more questions?
Sure.
All right, so sustained absent further foundation.
You watched the interview,
Yes, I did.
and you're the one that did the interview.
Yes.
And did you watch the transcription that was embedded into the interview, the video?
I watched the whole video in its entirety. Yes, I did.
And the transcription?
Yes.
Were they in conformity with each other?
Yes.
They match?
Yes.
Your Honor, I make an avowment it was also done by a licensed transcriber too, Your Honor.
Where is that certification, Your Honor? I just need a copy of it so I can agree.
Is that your objection, or do you have any other objection?
Again, it's altered not by him, and so I'm going to continue that objection.
The objection's overruled. And remember, and this is part of the reason why it's overruled, but instruction to the jury, this is a recording, it's a video recording, correct? And the evidence is what you hear from the recording. Apparently the transcription that has been synced is there again, it's for demonstrative purposes. So what you read, if you read it, is for demonstrative purposes. If that is not consistent with what you hear on the video or the recording, then the recording and what you hear is the evidence. All right? So the evidence is the recording, what you hear from the voices. The subtitles are just there to assist you for demonstrative purposes. But if what you hear is different from what's transcribed, what you hear controls. With that, the objection is overruled.
Take that, I'm gonna
The
show you
exhibits, what is that, 57?
57.
All right, thank you, Blair. The 57, with that, is admitted.
I'm gonna show you Government Exhibit 131. It's the first clip of this. First clip of the show.
No objections?
That was 131.
It's 131 here.
Without objection, 131 is admitted. Well, you hadn't offered it. Had you offered it yet?
Let me just make sure you
Yeah,
testify to what it is.
Yeah. Let's lay some, so it'll be admitted, providing that additional foundation is laid.
Detective, what is, say, Exhibit 131?
It is a CD. It's white in color. Can't see the brand name on it, but it has my initials, and it says first clip.
First clip of Miss Wanda Kelly.
That's correct.
Thank you, Detective. And you reviewed that?
So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
You reviewed the disc?
Yes, I did.
Does that appear to be what you're... Let me back up. You interviewed Miss Wanda Kelly, right?
Yes, I did.
Does that appear to be a clip of the interview you had with Miss Wanda Kelly?
Yes, it is.
All right, 57 is admitted.
It's 113.
Hold on, did you have any other objection?
No, sir.
Thank you. Okay, Exhibit 57 is admitted.
131.
Oh, I'm sorry, 131, thank you.
May I have Exhibit 2? I believe Exhibit 59 has already been admitted, right? Okay. I have March 26? Okay, thank you.
In reference to item states number 2, I object to the whole, but it would be agreeable to part. This is hearsay, but would agree to page 2, which is noted as the number 38 at the bottom. And that part I would not object, the rest I do.
Here, I'm going to show you. Can I approach you?
Yeah, I have no idea what it is, so, right. You said you were going to ask additional questions before offering the exhibit. Did I hear you correctly? All right, so I'll wait until I hear the additional questions and answers to the questions before I rule on the objection.
Detective, so we can go in sequential order. State exhibit number 2 is in front of you right on top.
Yes.
That's a booking form. Do you recognize that, right?
Yes, I do.
Booking form of the defendant?
Yes, it is.
And then exhibit 59, do you recognize exhibit 59 as being a voicemail from Mr. Kelly to Border Patrol Agent Morcell?
Yes.
All right, now we're going to look at 66 and 67. Government Exhibit 66, is that an ATT carrier warrant return
Yes, it is.
for the defendant's phone?
Yes.
Is that how you received it,
Yes, it is.
from the carrier?
That's correct.
And did you actually prepare the subpoena for, or the search warrant for the carrier?
Yes, I did.
You're going to move to admit Government Exhibit 66 into evidence?
May I revisit that evidence again?
Oh, sure, I'll grab it.
All of it? Just the whole thing? Oh.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to 66 with an additional reason. There is no affidavit from the custodian of records that regularly keeps this record to prove up that it's a true, authenticated, complete copy of what was requested by the subpoena, and therefore this witness would not be proper to allow me crossing to make sure it is complete.
That item was submitted, and we don't usually attach that to the exhibit, and that goes to the weight, and this is the exhibit that the detective can testify to as a return from the carrier.
Well, without me seeing that authentication, which is required by the rule, then the
We'll recall.
the objection is sustained.
Pending additional foundation, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to take 67 back from you, too. Same issue as 67.
So same ruling as to Exhibit 67.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Detective, you also are familiar with an AK-47 in this case, right?
That's correct.
And you sat here at table, we're not going to bring it out, but you sat here at table and saw that AK-47?
Yes, I did multiple times.
Government Exhibit 101?
Yes.
And you also seen and heard in her testimony about Government Exhibit 101.1, which are the shell casings, right?
That's correct.
Test fired by the expert.
That's correct.
Just for the record, 101, and 101 was admitted on March 26th, and 101.1 was admitted on April 9th.
That's correct.
Okay. You also reviewed, do you have Exhibit 74, ma'am? You also looked at spent shell cases in this case, right?
That's correct.
Those spent shell casings were found on site
Yes, they were.
at the defendant's property?
Yes, they were.
You took photographs of those?
Yes, we did.
I'm showing you what's marked as Government Exhibit 74, and it's been admitted on April 2nd?
Yes.
All right, yep, go ahead and open that for me.
Apologize, sweaty hands.
Detective, that item 74 has previously been admitted, so you can take it out. What does that appear to be?
It's a spent shell casing.
Do you know what item number that is?
This is 1JA.
You know where that is at the scene?
This was located at the rear edge, right-hand side by the porch.
And I think we have like a nice color tableau here. Is that the blue circle or the yellow circle?
That will be the blue circle.
All right, we'll see photos in a sec, but you can put that back in the envelope. Just so we get done with the shell casings, you also have Government Exhibits 103 to 110, the other envelopes. Just open up one of them and tell me which item it is.
This will be Exhibit 107 through 110. State exhibit.
Are these spent shell casings also found on scene?
Yes, they were.
And using our color tableau, we have the blue circle and the yellow circle. Which one?
These were located in the yellow circle.
And you've seen testimony already about that, Detective, right?
Yes.
Those are the same shell casings you took photos of?
Yes.
All right, you can put that back in the envelope. Next time I'll show you Government Exhibit 102, which has not been admitted, so I'm going to have you open that box. And counsel has full reign to look inside.
Yes, it's.
Can you open it back?
Counsel asked you to open the bag? I'm fine. Yeah,
It's double, triple back.
I'm fine.
Are you offering it?
Well, I will be setting foundation here.
I looked at it.
Detective, what's 102?
This is a black and color magazine with live ammunition.
And where'd you find that?
This was inside, well, actually adapted to the AK-47.
It's what? I didn't hear it. What?
It was placed on the AK-47 chamber where you chamber the magazine.
That's actually the magazine that was in the chamber when you recovered the gun.
Yes, it is.
So Government Exhibit 101, that's the magazine that was located actually insert.
In order for the jury to have good access.
You can just tell me where you want us to park.
We're gonna go through the main locked gate. Then there's a double green gate to the right. They're to go through that green gate, and they're to go up to a point where there's a small green gate. Now, my concern is that if there's a black and white out there, that he'd be the number one vehicle, then the jury truck or van be the number two. That way he can stop at that green gate, and they will have full access to the gate, then to the house, then to all the points, and they'll be the lead vehicle to go to the barn. So how they park, and I'm asking if I won't say a word, if I can direct them through the right gates and stop at the right point.
All right, when are you going out there? You'll be leading the escort? All right, someone else is going to be out there before we get there, right? Who is that? Is that Kent?
Yeah, Kent coming up behind me, and then Commander Gonzalez will be on site.
But I mean, is somebody going to be on the site before we get there to kind of designate a parking area?
Prior to the gate being open, up to the gate.
All right, so,
Judge, I can be out there and direct and show Deputy Kent where.
if you just mark it with some cones or something, and then we'll all wait at the gate to make sure that we all go to the correct designated spot. Okay. Do you do valet parking, too? Or no?
Yes.
Yeah,
They just give me their key.
Mr. Larkin? Yeah.
Two more real quick issues. Joe.
Sure.
One is, council and I like to be there early. Council and I like to be there early to make sure the placards are in the place. We just want to make sure there's
I got it.
visual.
Mr. Larkin, are you going to be out there early?
I'm going to be heading out there right now to make sure the placards are where we put
So
them.
Mr. Larkin can walk you around.
Sure.
I got it, no problem.
The second issue, me and Ms. Hunley thought there was a stipulation about the vegetation and the grass being different than it was on January 30th. Vegetation and grass, but clearly there, as we heard, there's no agreement. So we should bring to the court's attention, as the jury is out there, they're going to see probably some trees with some fresh greenery on it, which is not the scene on January 30th. And they're obviously going to see grass that has been grazed, which is not the scene on January 30th. And so we tried to get a stipulation. Evidently, that broke down, and so we try to bring to the court's attention.
And Judge, we did propose the following language. The parties stipulate that the grass on January 30th, 2023 was longer than the grass is today due to grazing. Photographs of the crime scene depict the state of the grass on January 30th, 2023. That was disagreeable to the state. They wanted to add additional language regarding additional foliage, and there aren't new leaves on the trees. We were just talking about the grass. So
Well-
I don't know why that stipulation was not sufficient.
Stipulations are between the parties. I'm not going to get involved in negotiating or trying to resolve that. If there's a stipulation, fine. If there's not, that's fine. If there's not a stipulation, and obviously Detective Ains is going to be recalled, you can recall another witness. If that's what you want to do to make a record for how you believe the vegetation and grass was at the time. I don't think the foliage is out. It might be out in Tucson, but here it comes out usually in late April, early May, just depending upon the climate. And it really hasn't been warm enough.
We were there yesterday, they were barely budding.
Yeah. But, I mean, when the mesquites come out, they just explode, and it's really beautiful, actually, but I don't think they're there yet. But whatever it is, the state is welcome to make a record through additional testimony if you believe that the conditions have changed, as is the defense. So.
What I was trying to bring up is said to wait, and I think whoever was going to lead them, if they would come in advance, and we were going to make sure they saw all the placards so they could guide them, and we don't have to put in any information where the next placard is that way.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, that's the problem. Well, you're going to lead them. You're going to lead us out there? Is that the idea?
Yes, sir, the jurors. I'll be in front of the jurors.
All right. Why don't you, well, you're all going out there a little early. You're going to go out there earlier. Then why don't we send Jose out there, the bailiff, with you? All right? And then so you can walk him through where the locations are.
And I do have just a schematic sketch of it, because I had talked to Deputy Martinez about it.
All right, well, you can be out there too before the jury gets
And I'll
there.
just give this to them right now. And they-
All right, well, you can be out there as well, Mr. Larkin, before the jury gets out there and help show the bailiff.
Are they gonna print out for the jurors, the stations and the stipulations?
We don't have this, we're going to print out this key that you all agreed to.
And it should be 15, not 14,
Right.
Judge? Do you have the list with 15?
No, I have something with 14.
Okay.
And the 15th spot, the jury has to be, I would assume they're going to want to be driven to. It's about a quarter of a mile, I think, down to the pump house, maybe a little less. But I would defer to the court on that.
It's got a steep part to it.
It does.
Well, all right, why don't we leave that off for now, and we'll take a look at it after 14, if it looks like we're able to, was this hard to walk to or something? Or?
It's just a little bit far. It's the second pump house where we found Mr. Kelly. We think it's pretty relevant.
Yeah, I'm just trying to determine how far away it is, how hard it is to get there.
I think it's about a quarter of a mile, maybe a little less on the road.
It's not a walk that the jury is going to want to do.
What's that? It's not the one.
It's not a walk that the jury's going to want to do.
It's a hard path, but it's got a big steep area to walk.
It's steep and it's lengthy.
Well, I'll go out there and we'll take a look at it. If it's doable and walkable, and we'll have them do it. It's supposed to be kind of hot too, which I don't know, probably better than cold. But so I think let's just leave it off the list right now, and that way it's not on there. And that way, if I decide they're not going to see it, then they're not questioning why they didn't see it.
It is easy to drive to, Your Honor. It is on the driveway, just so the court knows.
I'll go out there, try and take a look at it.
Okay.
All right.
What time are we all getting out there?
Well, I want to leave here by 1:30 with the jurors.
That's
And I'm-
the jury, right?
Yeah.
People who want to get there early, what time are we?
Well, you can all work that out. How are you? We got to get you out there.
Arrive at 1.
Can somebody give him somebody driving out there? Can you give him a ride? Kent or something? Take him out there now. All right, Louis will get you out there now. Is that all right? Grab some food or something. Okay, good. We'll see you out there. We're going to leave here by 1:30. All right, we are in recess.